Welcome to We Make Children's Books, the podcast that takes us through the imaginative minds of children's book authors and artists. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the acclaimed and celebrated creators of 3B Honey, Desi and Jon St. Amant.
Thank you. Barney. Thanks for having us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. I was very excited to get that email saying that you were doing a crowdfunding campaign. And I said, wait a minute, that name looks really familiar. Then I had to go back on KC. I'm like, oh, that's Jon St. Amant from Chebacorn. Yes, this is awesome. We also get the ability to, talk to you, Desi, who is also one of the folks of 3B Honey. You also co-created this with Jon as well, huh?
Basically, the characters started off as there were characters that were kind of side characters in an original story I had all about a high school of insects, and they were the celebrities in that comic story. Mm-hmm. And the high school of insects story kind of floundered, didn't work too well, and so we were talking, and I thought, these celebrity bees, these like pop star bees, would be a pretty fun story on their own. And so I basically just Desi just took the reins on the storytelling for that.
Yeah, we were exploring beekeeping actually at that time. And so when we started to develop our beehive in the backyard, and then we were learning more about them and how fascinating they were, I remembered Jon's characters of the three bees, the sisters that were like into performing. And I thought, oh man, I think there's something there. And especially because we knew that there was this undertone of, climate change happening where bees were in danger. And I thought that those are the stakes right there. Like the bees fighting to save their hive, fighting to save their family. Right. But, I thought, well, how could I make this middle grade? So we created this world of sisters, basically, that, they deal with the middle grade drama and the adolescent angst of fitting in and finding friendship, along with the fact that they have to survive and save their hive,
So talk to us a little bit about Desi and Jon, the fact that, Desi, you wrote it as a script, and then Jon, you're the one that actually illustrated it, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Originally, I wrote it as a prose novel, a middle grade novel.
Okay.
And then this was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I shared it with people in my critique group, and, I got some positive feedback, but also people were like, I could see this having like pictures. And so I was like, okay, maybe this will be an illustrated novel. And then when we realized that graphic novels were really, really hot, we decided, this could be a really good graphic novel. So then we pivoted, and I changed the story into a graphic novel script. So I basically rewrote the whole thing to be like a screenplay instead of prose.
As the project evolved and you started to feel out how the story was going to go, how much ownership did you both share on that? Was there any like territorialness of characters or plot line or any of that stuff?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Actually, I remember just establishing with her, saying that they're pop stars, they're performers. And then I just said, go with it. And so from there, she created their personalities, and then just the entire, tying in the environmentalism. Also, our beekeeping experience plays a role as far as, you can see the hive there, the apiary. That's actually our backyard. So a lot of the images are our backyard. So I'll take photos of the plants or the trees or things, and I'll incorporate them into the design. There's a page where the main character flies over what they call Box Mountain, which they call houses mountains. And so there's a scene where she's flying over our house. It's actually like our roof line and our front porch and everything.
That's cool.
But as far as like ownership, I just let her go with it as far as the writing and the plot. And we would kind of bounce ideas back and forth. She'd run things by me. But
Jon would read the script as I wrote it. He read I feel like every iteration of it. And so he would tell me, no, this is good. This is working. So another thing we had to kind of agree on was a few things. Like this story was going to be in their perspective, in their world, from
Right.
their little bee eyes, right? So it's not, we were not going to involve any humans.
Hmm.
So it's not going to have us beekeeping around them or anything. Like it is their world, and we're just kind of seeing how it works.
Although the elements you can clearly see, there is a human civilization. So they're in a backyard. They're in a human run apiary, a bee box,
Hmm.
beehive. So I was
Right.
even thinking. I mean, I don't know. We haven't talked about this, but there maybe in a future episode or future story, there could be a scene with a giant, right, where
Hmm.
it's a benevolent giant because clearly they're being managed by a beekeeper. But they're still scared. They would still probably sting and flee this giant. So I think that's a
Yeah.
possibility down the road, but
I think right now we just wanted to keep the focus on their story,
yeah,
their hardships, their dramas, but also like
Hmm.
I just felt like as a middle grade perspective, like an adolescent, around 12 years old, you think you're the center of the world. Everything revolves around
yeah.
you. Like
Right.
you're not thinking about the larger world. So I felt like that was fitting for these characters, that their world was their world.
They're not necessarily anthropomorphic. They're not walking and talking bees. You were specific in drawing them as young women.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
they're like they're girls, they're young
Right.
girls,
yeah.
Right.
and that was an interesting evolution, and I think John can speak more to that, but we didn't want them to look like bees. I felt
Right.
like it was important for readers to be able to relate to them.
Yeah, there's an excellent graphic novel called Clan Apis. I can go grab it, but it depicts the bees as scientifically accurate bees. And what I remember reading that, and I was so fascinated by the story and by the art. But I remember feeling like it was difficult to get in behind the character, get to relate to the character, because they're bees are alien looking. I mean, the beauty of this planet is that the biodiversity is mind blowing, right?
Right.
So we wanted to make a point to kids reading this that this is really about them on through the lens of bees. So it's this kind of hybrid. I know they pretty much are like girls wearing bee outfits. They actually are they're more simplified now than they used to be. They used to be even more human looking. I tried to
Hmm.
kind of be involved, like inspired by kind of Powerpuff Girl design, where it's a little more simplified, like just like cylindrical, torsos and little chubby feet. Um, but yeah, we wanted to really drive home the point. So we're both teachers, and one of the things that stands out to us, especially like with my students, are when kids will come to me, and I'm an art teacher, and I say, so what do you want to do? Where do you want to go for college, or what do you want to do when you grow up? And their answer very often is, well, I'd love to do art, but my parents want me to do this, want me to be a lawyer, a doctor, or so there's so much of this preconceived plan by parents, and the kids have their own passion. So, Desi can speak to this
I,
too about.
yeah, that was another
Hmm.
layer of conflict that our main character dealt with, of like fulfilling the family obligation, which in this case is like helping save the hive from complete collapse. But also she does have this passion for performing, and she's trying to reconcile that, and find kind of the middle ground. So that's something that both of us have seen with our own students struggling with.
The only males, and you'll see in the story that the males are the drones, and drones are these brawny. In our story, the drones are just meatheads. They work out all the time. Their whole goal is strutting around the hive, showing off their muscle. They don't do any work. They don't help, and that's actually very accurate to how bees are. Most of the bees in the hive are female. All the foragers are female. The only males are the drones, and they waste a lot of resources. Their only job is to take the genetic material of the hive and mate with a new queen. And so that's their only purpose. And so we really want to drive that point as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, it's a middle grade book, so we're not going to talk really about like reproduction.
Right.
But in the book, we're just more alluding to like they don't do anything; they just hang out.
They hang out and work out, and
that's actually true.
Yeah.
In the bee world, anyway, the girls are doing all the work.
How important did you feel as though that you either wanted to add an educational aspect to it, or did you feel like you needed to add an educational aspect to the storyline?
I think it was a little bit of both, because I feel like, if you're going to tell a story about bees, I think it's, while I have your attention, here's some cool things about them. And, when teaching kids, you don't want them to feel, they don't like to feel like they're being lectured at or taught.
To, right.
So you kind of feed it the spoonful of honey, pun intended, but like, you integrate it into the story. So in the story, we have those like bee facts and that information integrated as part of the story, not as like a textbook page of information.
But also, I'm such a bee nerd. I'm like a bee evangelist. Every time, like, I'll be out at a party or a random place, and somebody asks me a little, like, just a benign question, like, "Hey, how's your hive doing?" And like 30 minutes later, I'm still going on about the science behind them and fascinating bee facts. And Desi has to kind of like give me like the sign, like, "Hey,
Like,
okay, stop. Like, let's, we're running late. Stop talking about bees. So I think that comes through too. Is like I try to get some accuracy there and try to show how interesting they are. They're such fascinating creatures.
Did you have to cut back on some of the facts and some of the things that you hit into the book to make it not seem so textbooky?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we did have to cut some things because it felt too heavy, like too heavy-handed.
Yeah, and also the technology. So one of the challenges was, and actually, by the way, I'm still illustrating this story. So it's fully written. It's all 260 pages or something.
Wow,
but for
that's
this
huge.
It's huge.
It's an epic. It's epic.
So our campaign right now is the first 48 pages. So it's going to be like a double feature comic book thickness, right? Same size as a comic book, but so we call this chapter 1. And one of the challenges we ran into was how, like, for example, when bees forage, here I go. Okay, stop me if I go too far. But when bees forage, they will vomit their foraged honey or nectar into another bee's mouth, which that bee will then go and deposit it into the cell, right, into the little. And so obviously we can't have girls vomiting into each other's mouth. So there are like, we had this system. There's a system that's, I think it's in the sample pages, but where it's a conveyor belt where it checks the purity and the weight of their forage. And so Claire is always struggling to make enough of the
meet the quota.
The quota of the day.
Yeah.
So we had to find a way to like not be gross because they're so anthropomorphized. Like,
yeah.
Right.
And so we came up with just a real simple, almost like a shopping center conveyor belt with a little scanner and weight. And, but there still is like this, another part was gravity. Like, so bees can climb up walls just as easily as we walk on a sidewalk. So in the story, there's scenes where the girl will step up, a bee will step up 90 degrees and then just start walking up the wall like it's nothing. And so to change that, to conceptualize that, there's a scene where you can see Claire climbing up and completely changing direction like it's nothing, and trying to show, kind of as an artist, I'm always like thinking like a director, like where's the camera angle? How do we show this is actually vertical and not horizontal anymore? So that was a challenge to to get that right.
Oh, and so this book went through the Kids Comic Unite group. And so how did that process work going through there, and what kind of editing and feedback did you get for the book?
We've had I have so many versions it's gone through. When I first wrote it, I had an editor I do edits on it, like give me like big picture edits. And she didn't like the main character at first. I remember she was kind of harsh, and she gave me really good feedback, but she gave me some feedback I needed to hear. But like Claire was kind of whiny and complaining at first, and I had to kind of rethink her angle a little bit. And so I actually rewrote it, kind of changed how she presented herself. And again, like I said, this has been like 6 years in the making. So I just kept redoing it. And then I joined the critique group, got more feedback, and I would just revise constantly. And then, I would send it out to, I don't know if you're familiar with Pit Mad. It's like a Twitter, like, pitch
Okay.
contest. This was a while ago,
Okay.
but it used to be a big thing. I don't know if it is anymore, but you basically submit your manuscript, and it's in like a whole organization, and they pick a really small amount, and you're paired up with a mentor, and they together you revise your script to send it out to agents. But it's
Oh,
like
cool.
it's kind of a big deal if you get chosen. So I was like, basically I had a full request in that process. Like, the mentor liked my stuff, wanted to read it, and by that point she got back to me. She said, look, i I think this is great. I feel like you honestly probably don't need it. I want to do something that needs a little more work on my part. So she's like, I'm gonna just kind of let this go. And but she was kind enough to she did a whole read on the whole manuscript and gave me notes. So then I went back and kind of, looked at it again, went through it. So it was like a lot of that. And then Pitch Fest with Kids Comics Unite a few years later, we got some feedback on that. And a lot of the feedback was really on the visuals that time. So
Yeah.
I feel like at that point the story was strong and it was tight, and then the visuals we needed to kind of rethink, because one of the comments we got was like, the bees look too grown up for a middle grade
Yeah,
story.
they were very human. Like, it was like even more like not cartoony. It was like humans wearing bee suits, and so um, that needed to change to make them younger, to make it more cartoony, just to make it more zany. Maybe even actually we even pitched it as an animated series, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We tried just
Yeah.
one or two studios. And yeah, so that we did want to make it more cartoony, more simplified, also to draw, like drawing people hundreds and hundreds of times. It's I can do it, but it's a lot of work. So drawing
Right.
these big round heads, little rectangle torsos is a lot easier, and the story comes across, I think, better with their younger, more zany, cartoony, characters.
Yeah, especially with the audience we're trying to reach.
But back to the question about the KCU process. We actually, so Jana actually, we attracted her attention. She offered
Mhm.
representation, I think, based on
Yeah, we
the
didn't pitch to, like, we didn't actually submit to her
right.
explicitly or anything. I think John posted the graphic novel is like, hey, I need some critiques on this. What do
We
you
did
guys
like a little
think?
video.
Um,
Right.
yeah, just to get some critiques from the community. And
It's called the hot seat.
the hot seat, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And at that point, Jana reached out and said, hey, I think this is really cool. You want to talk? And then it kind of went from there. But we were looking for an agent at that time, and we weren't having much luck. We got several full requests, but didn't seal the deal. And then Jana reached out to
Right.
us. So
Right.
it worked out.
And so let's talk a little bit about your crowdfunder campaign, and see. So, as of this recording, you are at 91% of your goal
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. We were really very shocked and just really happy to see that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, and pretty nerve-wracking putting yourself out there, but the
Right.
support and encouragement we've received has been awesome.
Yeah.
And it's been really encouraging to see that. And you know this was our first one, so we didn't really know what to expect, so that created a little bit of anxiety. Like, the morning of, I kid you not, we
Yeah.
were like,
All
so
hands on
like,
deck.
we were just like like, just like nervous energy, like, that day. But
Right.
now we're seeing how it's landing, and we're like, okay, this
Right.
is we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. And yeah, I'm super excited, and we definitely are planning on putting more work out there. Once we get through this one, I think honestly, we did go through the submission process with Jana, submitting it to editors, and we didn't get any offers. And we still really believed in the story, and Jana did too. And
Jana,
we
yeah, she
thought
was really a big cheerleader for the story.
she was, this was actually her idea. She's like, you guys should do this because you got to find your audience. It was time. It was time
Right.
to do this and take the leap. And we're exploring the same thing with Chubbicorn too, because Chubbicorn was also put on submission. We're kind of figuring out how to get things like this ready, and trying to be efficient. I mean, we're both parents, and so it's a lot to juggle, as you know.
Yeah.
So trying to find that time is tough.
So talk to us a little bit about these tiers. For those that might be listening or watching this later, talk to us a little bit about what levels that they could be looking at.
Sure. So they start off with what we call the drone, which is the digital copy. So they get a PDF, first 48 pages. Plus, we have recruited 8 artists, artist friends of ours that are going to be doing like fan art, alternate covers and different scenes in their style. So that's kind of like a little bonus gallery. And then the
cool.
second, so that comes with all the both physical and digital copy. And then the worker bee is the physical copy. It's $15, and that comes with that it's actually 60 pages. I say 48, but that's the 48 of the story plus the extra matter that we have for the and so then we go up from there to the nurse bee. That's right, and that's the sticker pack. So we just got the stickers in actually a couple days ago. They look awesome. They're like
Awesome.
4 inches. They're vinyl stickers, and so they're the three main characters, and plus an extra version of Claire. We love that expression she's making, so we have that, and then Marco, who's a likable drone. The next one was the Hive Deputy, and that comes with the PDF, the physical copy, the sticker pack, plus a signed print, which is like a selfie of the 3 sisters.
Oh, nice.
So it throws in that little extra. And then the last tier is the MVB, and that includes it's all the previous steps, plus I do a custom, we haven't figured out the logistics, but we're going to maybe reach out to those people and ask what character they like in the story. And I'll do a little custom sketch, like an ink drawing on a 5x7 paper. And so that they'll get a little unique signed art piece as well.
Going from the 35 where you get the book, the sticker set, and a signed print, for an extra $15, you get original artwork.
Yeah, I know. I looked.
Desi, you let him do that? You didn't.
It's really bad business. I'm awful at math. I'm bad at marketing. But yeah, I know.
Let's just say we're gonna have to do. He's gonna. When I say we, I mean he. He's gonna have to do a lot of original art because everyone's like, "Ooh, I want the MVB package."
I know. And I'm still
right.
So I have all the pages to keep drawing and coloring, and then I'll have all the little custom doodles. But yeah, it's a lot, and I don't know. I think looking back on it though, like it's kind of like a thank you for. We're relatively unknown definitely unknown by the world, but like the way I see it is getting work out there is the most important thing. I'm not like making money off that is not even like on the radar. It's just getting people to be excited about it, and just giving back to them for, helping us out, helping bring this thing to life, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, our goal was not to make a profit. It was just to cover costs as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the benefit that both of you have is that you're the writers and the artists for it. So you don't have to pay artists for this. So a bulk of the cost is printing more than anything else, correct?
Right.
Yeah, the printing and the stickers.
Shipping could add up as well.
Yeah.
But
for almost 60 pages, that's essentially you're getting it for $10 because you also are throwing in the digital copy, which was worth $5. So that's another really good deal for those. So anybody's looking at something for, as you say, a great educational piece that's good for middle grade that has some really good, amazing story and amazing artwork with some level of educational aspects to it, that is a
That's a
really good deal to get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. We're not math teachers, Barney.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're English and art, so we are
Yeah. I
really.
don't think we even factored in shipping like to this whole like
Oh, we did.
for
We
our
did.
goal. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
did.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did that, but
Yeah.
don't sell us too short.
Sorry, but like we do plan on doing every chapter. I like the goal that I see with this story is so every maybe year or two, however fast I can make 48 new pages. We want to keep rolling this, like kind of snowballing every campaign. So the next campaign you'll include book one by itself, or book two, or the 2-book deal, like kind of building on that. And so hopefully by the end we have maybe 5 or 6 books and that many campaigns to where people can buy in at, like I've seen campaigns where it's like book 5 available. Yeah, but I want to start with book one. I just discovered this, this book. So we'll always have maybe that book one as a maybe a package to inspire people to get the other sequels maybe. So we haven't thought that out, but
Yeah.
Right. And that the smart thing that you've done also, you're putting things in your tier levels that are specifically flat, so it makes it a lot easier to ship as well.
That was important.
And also the print size I think will also be close to the comic size, which is like 6.5 by 10.25 or something. So we'll also have that the ability to ship the same dimensions. That should help out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I so would love to get, like, especially with Chubacorn, I would love to get action figures or plushes of down the road. My students and my boys are always asking, like, just I can't wait to get a Chubacorn, little squishy thing or whatever, and that would be great, or these characters as little plastic, I don't know, little posable toys or something would be really cool.
Well, that's why
Right.
we decided to create the campaign under the term Saint Amant stories, because we knew that there would be other stories, and Chubacorn would be another one, um, in addition to 3B Honey. So we wanted to kind of roll that under the umbrella, and just have different stories out there, and probably more that we're still developing.
For
But
sure.
yeah.
As you said, this is called 3B Honey. That's the name of it. So when you roll out chapter 2, as you're saying, it's going to be a 260-page graphic novel eventually. How would you do the second chapter?
It would just continue where this story left off. So we
Right.
stopped it at like a cliffhanger, like
Yeah,
where something exciting
it's a brutal
happens.
cliffhanger. It's gonna anger people.
It may.
They'd
I
be
mean,
like, what?
yeah. So we're just going to continue the story,
Right.
and then pause it at that natural stopping point.
But if you're
midpoint of the story, basically.
we may do I don't know. I don't think we'll do like a previously on, because it'll be every story will be the previous story will be available in the next campaign.
We'll just continue where it left off.
But as far as maybe are you asking about like the title, like what maybe the idea?
Yeah, because if you're calling it 3B Honey for the first book, then
Right.
what would? Yeah.
Well, the first one is going to be 3B Honey Foraging for Friends.
Yeah. So it says there's a subtitle, chapter 1 foraging.
Subtitle. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that way we'll just have a little summary.
And then the second one, I had it written somewhere.
Don't spoil it.
No, I don't want to say it yet because I'm not 100% sure, but we're still like figuring out those titles.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious about the world building aspect of this as well. Did you actually have like other insects represented as well in human form?
Yes. Yeah. So in the original iteration of it, I came up with fans. So I have like a little fan group of the characters. There's a, I don't know, should I say like club promoter?
Well, not a club, because
it's
adult.
a music it's like a music venue, like a cafe that has live music. But that owner, the one who advertises the shows and gets people signed up, the talent producer.
Talent scout.
But yeah, so we pre-designed a lot of these anthropomorphic insects, like upright. Some of them are a little bit more, you like with a caterpillar, for example. And this all comes from the ideas of my previous insect high school. So a lot of them were, you know, kind of carryovers, like salvaged from that previous story.
And put into this world. It kind of has, I don't know, like James and the Giant Peach,
Yeah,
a little bit of that vibe, you know, where they look, you can tell that they're that insect, but they have clothes on.
Yeah, because another thing is to think about, and this crossed our mind, was, you know, potential of like live action. Maybe this gets picked up and we can have people dress up as a costume, and it's a lot easier to get into like a spider suit that is bipedal with extra, you know, limbs that are kind of. So just thinking about how, like, you know, one of my things that I think would be so cool is to be at a comic convention and have like people cosplaying as like Chubblecorn or the characters or whatever. So that potential of both TV show or costume potential, I think is something that as a creator, it's something that you may want to consider. Like you could have these far out, amazingly elaborate characters. That's great. But when they can only be reproduced through maybe computer generation or, you know, drawing, that kind of limits you, I guess, in the future.
Right. So. Yeah. So Desi and Jon, if people want to learn more about 3B Honey, where is the best place they could go to?
At this moment, the crowdfunder campaign, but they could go to 3bhoneyrocks.com. That's the website for the story. Or they could visit our websites where we post updates and, you know, other information. My website is desywrites.com. And
then mine is johnsaintamont.com. So it's just Saint spelled out. But yeah, that's usually where we post a lot of our work or writing samples. And then we have our newsletters as well. And those are connected to both of our websites. So you can scroll down and you know, sign on to those as well.
John has an Instagram account too, where he posts art.
Yeah, under the same name, Jon Saint Amant, under Instagram. But that's, yeah, a lot of my Chubblecorn and other stories are there.
Well, listen, so the two of you are going to have to come back on when you're doing when chapter 2 comes out.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, we'd love to.